Remember when tech was simple, durable, and didn't spy on you? Yeah, me neither. I was too busy fighting over who got to play Sonic instead of Tails. But today we're diving into the resurgence of retro tech because nothing screams the good old days like spending $140 on a refurbished Game Boy that still smells like 1989. What is it about our overpriced and AI-hyped products of modern that are making people choose old school tech? Each generation has a nostalgic item, from the Atari in the 70s to Windows 95 in the 90s. Some tech was better left in our grandparents' attic, while other gadgets, for better or for worse, are selling better than they did in their prime.
Ooh, drink your chicken, baby.
For 18 years straight, vinyl records have climbed in sales. New vinyl purchases reached 1.4 billion in 2023. Nostalgia sells, and capitalism smelled the money. Places like Barnes & Noble, Target, and even Urban Outfitters started selling vinyl to cash in. Urban Outfitters, where you can spend $40 on a brand new record and $70 on pre-ripped jeans.
Got him!
The original Nintendo Game Boy hit shelves in 1989 and sold for approximately $89. The entire initial stock of 300,000 units sold out within the first 2 weeks.
With the power of the NES, right in the palm of your hand. Game Boy.
You can get a refurbished Game Boy for upwards of $140 plus shipping, a small price to pay for reliving the joy of blowing into the cartridges like it's a sacred religion. And then there's the curious case of Polaroid, which filed for bankruptcy the first time due to, well, no one wanting to buy their products. Fast forward to the late 2010s and nostalgia revived it. The One Step, once $22, has now been rebranded as Retro and comes with a hefty price tag ranging from $120 to $108. Polaroid proving that you can fail twice and file for bankruptcy and then charge triple digits for your products. Talk about a glow up. I came across Retro Rick, who focuses on 80s and 90s nostalgia tech. He goes around to some of these retro shops where they're selling older consoles. He wants to purchase these retro items, and it actually seems like a lot of people don't want to give them up.
Well, what if I went to the bank, I throw 800 cash?
I just picked up and I forgot that.
You like that or you hate it?
I couldn't do that, buddy.
While I was watching his videos, I realized something interesting. I was just in the US. One of the things I like to do is kind of drive around the city and see what has changed. And one of the places I specifically wanted to go to see if it was still there was Game Point. Game Point was where I went and traded in my video games. To my surprise, the game store was still there. And as I was watching Retro Rick, I realized he purchased the game store. And I just had this moment of like, the world is small. Who put this in here?
Bruh.
If I think back to my first nostalgic tech item, it would be the Sega Genesis. I was about 5 years old and would play Sonic the Hedgehog on the Sega Genesis with my cousin. We of course would fight over the Player 1 and Player 2 controller because no one wanted to play Tails. Everyone wanted to play Sonic. Poor Tails. These memories are really fond, so fond in fact that I bought something kind of nostalgic. It's so cute. I can put so much stuff in here. Now I can carry my nostalgia and my snacks. Arcade machines. They ate your quarters and your free time. I remember as a kid, arcade machines were literally everywhere. In their peak, arcade machines were considered by many to be addictive. Pac-Man and Street Fighter were two of the biggest games and would keep players hooked for hours with the dream of getting their name on the leaderboards. Back then, parents worried about kids spending all their quarters on arcade games. Now parents just worry about kids racking up hundreds of dollars on Fortnite skins. How times have changed.
So is it any wonder people are afraid of technology?
Technology!
We think about arcade machines, the sights, the sounds, buttons, the knobs, everything was so tactile and you could interact with it. Nowadays, when we take a selfie, we just touch the glass. It's very anticlimactic. I think today's items just lack tactility. Is that a word?
Tactility.
but just the ability to touch and interact with something. Tech products that we grew up with allowed you to touch and interact with them to get that physical feedback that we now lack in our modern tech. There's a running stereotype that software engineers want to be farmers. I believe, similar to the reason why we really love retro items, engineers sit in front of a screen all day, and what they're programming they never actually get to touch and interact with. I myself fit into this stereotype. I would love to have a farm so that I can use my hands and really see physically in the world what I've built, but also so I can have every animal imaginable on my farm. I just love animals. I just need to figure out how to separate the possums from the pelicans, because pelicans are like cats in that if it fits in their mouth, they put it in their mouth. When Netflix announced that The Office was leaving Netflix, I, like many others, was distraught. No! But this is actually what prompted me to start collecting Blu-ray DVDs. We're starting to see the rise in DVD and VHS because people want to own things. People want unlimited access to things, and they want to physically own things, despite what our tech overlords may try to tell us.
But there will also be opportunities and benefits that we can't even imagine yet. For connection, for creation, for learning, and joy.
Meta's vision of the future, spending more time in a digital world to escape the problems caused largely by spending too much time in a digital world. Recently, Amazon announced that you could no longer download Kindle ebooks, and it essentially locked people into using Amazon's ecosystem. So while tech sold us on convenience, what they actually did was lock us into subscriptions where we own nothing. This is part of the appeal of retro tech. It doesn't have a subscription, and 40 years on, it still works. While today we have all of these companies selling these flashy mechanical keyboards, a lot of them are very poor quality. Compare this to the IBM Model M keyboards from the 1980s that are still going strong over 40 years later. The IBM keyboard was built with heavy use in mind, whereas a lot of products today are being purposefully built not to last. It's literally part of these companies' sales growth strategies. Apple, unfortunately, or allegedly, in a lawsuit against Apple, it was revealed that Apple was purposefully slowing down older models. It's kind of crazy when you think about a company selling a product but not allowing the owners to open it up and repair or upgrade the product. Company is like, sorry, you can't repair this, it's for your own safety, and by safety we mean our profit margins.
Fire everybody!
Retro tech was focused on doing one thing, but doing that one thing really well. Like a lot of companies at that time were like, we're gonna build this and we're gonna be the best at it. Whereas tech now is kind of like trying to be something for everyone. I think people miss the simplicity of just having an item and that item do a really good job.
Nice.
Also, if you think about it, if a tech does something really well, it's probably intuitive to use and it doesn't require manuals. And this also means it most likely will be more durable because there's less functionality that can break it. Modern tech today wants to be connected to the internet, to an app, and it needs software to update. Retro tech, on the other hand, just works. AI is being included into literally everything to make it more intelligent, or at least to give companies a new marketing strategy.
First graders have A1 teaching. Wasn't all that long ago that we're going to have internet in our schools. Whoop, to see A1 and how can that be helpful?
Tell me again why my toothbrush needs AI in it. Is it going to brush my teeth more intelligently? Why does a toaster need AI? Will it more intelligently burn the toast? There are obvious safety concerns when it comes to our modern tech. I instantly think of Tesla's full self-driving mode. Tesla has repeatedly, over the course of years, marketed their vehicles as full self-driving. Lawsuits filed against Tesla have alleged that the cars have software flaws and do not have the capabilities to drive on their own. Despite having apps like Tinder, Instagram, and Snapchat, loneliness rates are going through the roof.
Hey, Ron. Hey, Billy.
Nowadays, social media algorithms show us things that make us angry in an attempt to get us to engage. Nothing says human connection like arguing with strangers online about whether or not a tariff is a tax. Tech has improved our lives in a lot of ways, but it's also taken away the ability for us to disconnect from life and work. Back in the day, the only way to be reached was from a pager, and even then you had to wait for someone to find a phone and ring you back. Pagers gave us an excuse to ghost someone, whereas nowadays your boss can just slack you at midnight.
Fuck to it!
Even when you want to do something simple, like listen to your favorite songs of the 90s, you're bombarded with ads of today. Nothing ruins nostalgia like a mid-song ad about cryptocurrency.
Bitcoin is going to zero! Zero!
Many products that were previously discontinued have been brought back. The Nokia 3310 was known for its durability and the Snake game. I feel like the Snake game is the reason that every 90s kid was like, do you have games on your phone? The introduction of the BlackBerry, along with the Motorola Razr, caught consumers' attention during the time when stylish, trendier features in mobile phones started becoming popular. I remember when the Razr was released, it came out in a time when like being emo was also super cool, so having the Razr phone was like really edgy. In 2016, Nintendo, in an attempt to feed its nostalgic demand, brought back the original Nintendo Entertainment System in the form of a miniaturized version of the original called the Nintendo Classic. It included 30 built-in classic games like Donkey Kong, Mario Bros., and The Legend of Zelda. Nintendo produced roughly 2.3 million units. While Nintendo at the time had been selling them for $60, scalpers purchased them and were selling them for well over $250. This happened again when Nintendo brought back the Super Nintendo Classic Edition, featuring 21 pre-installed games such as Super Mario World and Star Fox. The console sold for roughly $80 at the time, but again, thanks to scalpers who got their hands on it, the consoles were being sold for upwards of $2,000. Nintendo was kind of the OG Black Friday, like before Black Friday was a thing. They're just like, here's your favorite item, we brought it back.
Round one.
Fight over it.
Fight.
Thanks to nostalgia, we're also seeing new companies reinvent old tech. The company We Are Rewind mimics a classic Sony Walkman with a retro design but includes Bluetooth and a rechargeable battery for modern audio playback. They're essentially capturing the essence of old but modernizing it. The quirky writer also attempts to combine the aesthetic of a vintage typewriter with mechanical keys that connect via Bluetooth. Finally, a way to passive-aggressively type like it's 1920. If we look back at 90s tech aesthetic, I think it was like a super fun time. Not only did kids' eyesight improve around the world with the introduction of an electroluminescent screen, but the translucent purple edition allowed players to view inside the handheld. We also saw these same translucent colors being released in the Nintendo 64 with blue, orange, gray, green, red, and purple consoles. Apple even got in on the translucent aesthetic and offered the iMac G3 first in translucent blue and later releasing in purple, yellow, green, and pink. Transparent electronics were all the rage in the 90s. We wanted to see what was inside of our gadgets. Now companies specifically hire lawyers to prevent us from doing that. The other day I was thinking about what gadgets of today will be considered retro in 15 to 20 years, and I actually don't know. Kids today don't understand the joy of waiting for your favorite song to come on the radio so that you can run over and press record and record your favorite song to your cassette player that you can then walk around and listen to on your Walkman. Or how good it felt to catch Pikachu before your Game Boy died. Kids today are perfecting their skincare at 11.
First up my cleanser.
And hustling at 14 so they can retire at 20. Kids today are really stressed trying to figure out how to diversify their portfolio before they're 18.
What?
So why are we obsessed with retro tech? It's not just nostalgia. It's almost a rebellion against smart toasters and subscription overload. From vinyl spinning at Urban Outfitters to me clutching my Sega purse, old tech reminds us of a time when technology wasn't trying to be smarter than us and also wasn't trying to bankrupt us. The next time you're thrift hunting or blowing into a cartridge, remember the past isn't dead. It's just waiting for us to hit play. Subscribe if you're ready to ditch your AI toothbrush for a Game Boy, and I will see you in the comments, probably arguing with people about Sonic versus Tails.
Say it out loud. Say it.
Good.